Newton was born in 1726 in Scotland. He was known as the founder of modern geology and has changed our understanding of the Earth. He studied a lot of subjects until he found the one he liked the most. After moving to Edinburgh, he became a member of a society called the Oyster Club. As well as many others, Newton too was puzzled by the question of how ancient marine fossils reach mountain tops. No one had a right answer for this question, and it remained a mystery for so long. However, there were two groups who had totally different explanations. The first group was the Neptunists. They believed the mountains are as old as the Earth, and the only way marine fossils could reach mountain tops is because of the rise and fall of sea levels, where water sloshed over mountain tops, and that is why they look the way they do today. The answer was very different than the answer the opposing group, the Plutonists, came up with. Now, let us know why. The second group, the Plutonists, noted that nearly all changes which took place on Earth were a result of volcanoes and earthquakes, but definitely had nothing to do with seas. They raised awkward questions like, where did all the water go if rising sea levels were? Why fossils reached mountain tops? On the other hand, they were still unable to come up with a convincing reason of that question, which puzzled people for many years. Newton came up with a different answer all on his own. He found that soil was created by the erosion of rocks, and that the rocks and particles of the soil were continually washed away by rivers and streams and deposited elsewhere. But still, there had to be an additional process where rocks will be forced up the surface again and create new rocks to keep the cycle going. That was the fundamental forces. The high pressure and heat deep within the earth are what made this process possible. In the 17th century, witnessed the beginning of a real fascination for geology in Great Britain and across the world. As a result, the Geological Society was founded in London in 1807. The founders of the Geological Society, including James Parkinson, who gave his name to the famous disease, and Frederick Martinson, the author of the Solarian System, a real bestseller, were one of the first fossil hunters. Fossilized feces attracted the attention of Reverend William Buckland of Oxford, a great scholar who conducted several experiments about living species throughout his life. Buckland became the mentor and friend of the popular Charles Lyell, another scientist who devoted his life to geology. At first, Charles Lyell, a son of a wealthy and intellectual family, began a career in law, but Buckland made him discover geology, which became the greatest passion of his life. Later, Lyell was an incomparable master in geology, teaching at King's College in London. He was faithful to Newton's idea in his famous book, The Principles of Geology, published in 1830 and 1833. He, though, elaborated on them. A controversy between the catastrophists and the uniformitarians took place. The catastrophists, among them the Reverend Buckland, believed that the Earth underwent many cataclysmic events, such as the Noah flood, while the uniformitarians thought that the Earth was continually changing its shape through a long and slow process. If it's true that Newton is the real founder of the uniformitarians' belief, Lyell is considered as the true master of those ideas. Lyell believed that Earth shifts were uniform and steady, that everything that happened in the past could still be explained the events by happening today, such as earthquakes, tsunamis, and other natural disasters. Though outside geologists tried to categorize rocks by periods in which they were laid down, but there were often bitter disagreements where to put them down as. A new face also showed up. Stephen J. Cloud was an American paleontologist, a historian of science and a biologist. He was the founder of the theory, the punctuated equilibrium, which states that evolutionary changes occur rapidly and alternate with very long periods of evolution stability. Punctuated equilibrium attempts to answer a major problem with the fossil record. For almost a century, naturalistic scientists assumed the gaps in the fossil record would eventually be filled and there would be a semi-complete record of so-called transitional forms. Between the various species, in fact, the opposite happened, and the gaps became even more pronounced. The actual fossils record indicates species seemingly appearing from nowhere, and without the long, slow, gradual changes expected by classical evolutionary theory. Punctuated equilibrium seeks to answer this problem by